I saved a life today. My niece Rachel is 4 years old. We were at my brother's house for his backyard pool party. One of those perfect summer Sundays with too much food and kids running everywhere. I was sitting on the deck scrolling through my phone when I heard this splash that sounded wrong. Not playful, heavy. I looked up and saw Rachel face down in the deep end. Completely still, I didn't even think. I jumped in fully clothed and pulled her out. She was blue. Actual blue. Her lips, her fingernails. I laid her on the concrete and started CPR. Something I learned years ago and prayed I'd never use chest compressions. Mouth to mouth. Nothing. I kept going. My brother's wife Madison was screaming. My brother just stood there with a beer still in his hand, frozen. It felt like hours, but was probably 3 minutes. Then Rachel coughed up pool water and started crying. Best sound I've ever heard. I sat there shaking, soaking wet, my niece alive in my arms. The ambulance came. They checked her out and said she'd be fine. No water in her lungs, no brain damage. A miracle, they said. That's when Madison turned to me. Her face was red, tears streaming. I thought she was going to hug me. Instead, she said, "Where were you? You were supposed to be watching her." I just stared at her. I saved her. "You let her fall in," my brother added quietly. "We asked you to keep an eye on the kids." They never asked me that. I was just a guest. But suddenly, I was the negligent aunt who let their daughter nearly drown. They took Rachel to the car without another word. I drove home in my wet clothes. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I kept seeing her blue face. Nobody's texted me since. But let me back up, because I need to tell you what actually happened at that pool. When I pulled Rachel out of the water, her body was limp. Completely limp. Like holding a wet towel. I've held Rachel 1,000 times. She's always squirming, always moving, always talking. This wasn't Rachel. This was just a body. I put her on the ground and tilted her head back. Her eyes were half open, but rolled back. I could see the whites. I started chest compressions and counted out loud. 1, 2, 3. I learned CPR in a stuffy community center 6 years ago for a job that required it. I never imagined I'd actually use it, especially not on my niece. Madison was on her knees next to me, screaming Rachel's name over and over. "Rachel, Rachel baby, please." My brother, Jason, he just stood there. His face was completely white. The beer bottle slipped from his hand and shattered on the concrete, but he didn't even flinch. Other people from the party had gathered around. Someone was on the phone with 911. Someone else was crying. I heard a kid ask, "Is Rachel dead?" And a parent quickly hushed them and led them away. After 30 compressions, I gave her 2 rescue breaths. Nothing. Her chest rose and fell with my breaths, but she wasn't breathing on her own. I went back to compressions. My arms were already getting tired. They tell you in CPR class that it's exhausting, that you have to push hard enough to compress the chest 2 inches, that you might break ribs. On a 4-year-old, I was terrified of pushing too hard, but I was more terrified of not pushing hard enough. 15 seconds passed. 30 seconds, a minute, nothing. Madison was pulling at my arm. "Is she okay? Why isn't she breathing? Do something." "I am doing something," I said, but my voice cracked. Another round of compressions, another 2 breaths, still nothing. The 911 operator was on speakerphone now, and someone was relaying instructions to me, but I already knew what to do. I just needed it to work. 2 minutes in, I started thinking about what happens if she doesn't wake up. I started thinking about explaining to Jason and Madison that I tried. I started thinking about the funeral, about never hearing Rachel call me auntie again in that high-pitched voice she does, about never watching Frozen with her for the 100th time, about the birthday party I was planning for her next month, where I was going to get her that dollhouse she'd been asking for. All of it gone.